So, welcome everyone. I am delighted that you joined us today for another webinar in a series called On the Right Track, the Transformative Potential of Rail. The title of today's webinar is Beyond the Bullet Train, Lessons from Japan's Shinkansen. My name is Dr. Hilary Nixon, and I am Deputy Executive Director at the Mineta Transportation Institute at San Jose State University. MTI's mission is to improve mobility for all by improving the safety, efficiency, accessibility, and convenience of our nation's transportation system. We accomplish this through surface transportation research, technology transfer, education, and workforce development. MTI currently leads two competitively selected multi-university consortia. In today's webinar, we will explore what makes Japan's iconic high-speed rail system so fast and so reliable. We will hear insights from our expert speakers about how connecting train operations, station planning, and city building strategies create an integrated system and what we can learn from it. Before we begin, I want to thank our co-sponsors for supporting this webinar and empowering us all to learn more about the benefits of rail. The co-sponsoring organizations are the Consulate General of Japan in San Francisco, APTA's High-Speed Rail and Intercity Passenger Rail Committee, High-Speed Rail Alliance, and the U.S. High-Speed Rail Association. Next, two quick housekeeping notes. This webinar will be recorded and the recording will be shared. Also, after the speakers give short presentations, we will have a Q&A session. You may enter questions into the webinar chat either now or during the Q&A portion. Before I hand over the mic, let me first welcome Deputy Consul General Takeshi Ishihara, who will offer some opening remarks. Deputy Consul General, please.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. And thank you to San Jose State University and the Mineta Transportation Institute for organizing the webinar, Beyond the Bullet Train, Lessons from Japan's Shinkansen. I'm so honored to join you to this important event as a representative of Japanese consulate. California and Japan share unique similarities. Both regions possess vast land areas and home to bustling, high-density cities were served by sophisticated mass transit systems. As California embarks on its own ambitious high-speed rail project, understanding the comprehensive success factors of Japan's Shinkansen systems offers invaluable insights and lessons. In Japan, Shinkansen is far more than just a high-speed train. It serves as a vital artery connecting major population centers, seamlessly integrating with local rail networks to facilitate widespread travel across the country. It is an intricate but integrated system that has not only transformed intercity travel, but also significantly contributed to urban development around stations and promoted regional tourism. I still vividly remember when the Shinkansen opened in my hometown when I was an elementary school boy and how much the town developed as a result. Today, many people know the efficiency and punctuality of Shinkansen. However, the planning, construction, and continuous refinement of this remarkable system has required immense time, dedicated efforts, and innovative thinking over many decades. Today's webinar promises to peel back the myth and delve into the real decisions, principles, and design thinking behind Japan's high-speed rail success. Today, you will hear directly from experts about various elements from cutting-edge train design and meticulous operations to comprehensive station planning and efficient passenger flow, and even synergistic city building and tourism strategy. And you will also learn how these factors are interconnected to ensure the system's financial stability and operational excellence. We are particularly honored to have Mr. Masahiro Nakayama from JR Central and Mr. Brian Wong from Access Planning, sharing their first-hand experience and practical takeaways. I sincerely hope that the detailed observation and insights to be shared today will be of great interest and practical value to transportation officials, railway professionals, and academic researchers across California. Japan and California have long enjoyed a long relationships rooted in shared values, robust economic ties, and fruitful technological collaboration. I'm confident that today's discussion will further strengthen our bilateral cooperation in developing sustainable and efficient public transportation systems for the future. Thank you again, and I wish you all a very fruitful and engaging session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Deputy Counsel Ishihara. I really enjoyed hearing your personal story about the connection growing up with the opening of the high-speed rail station in your town. So let me now introduce our moderator for today, Eric Eidlin. Eric is the City of San Jose's station planning manager, and he plays a leading role in the city's efforts to transform Diridon Station into a world-class multimodal hub. As a fellow of the German Marshall Fund of the United States, Eric's published a widely cited report on high-speed rail station planning in France and Germany. Eric also regularly teaches a high-speed rail management class for San Jose State University's online Master of Science in Transportation Management program. Eric, I turn the floor to you.
Thanks so much, Hillary, and thank you, everyone, for joining. It's good to see such a big group of people. Thank you also, Deputy Counsel Ishihara, for joining us today and for your remarks. Well, I'm going to just start by, I'm first going to introduce our speakers in more detail. And after that, I just returned from a trip to Japan. And so I'm going to give some firsthand impressions as someone who is less knowledgeable about Japan than some of the other two speakers. But, I think maybe my firsthand initial impressions might help bring folks in who are also less familiar with Japan like me. And it was really an amazing experience, and I'm happy to share a few tidbits with you. Okay, so first I'd like to introduce our first speaker will be Brian Wong. He is a transit planner and passenger experience consultant at Access Planning, where he works on rail system, station planning, and transit-oriented development projects across North America. His work focuses on system integration, governance, and how infrastructure decisions shape real-world operations and user experience. He has a particular interest in Japan's Shinkansen as a total system where infrastructure operations and passenger experience are tightly aligned, and explores how those principles can inform rail projects outside Japan. I should also add, this webinar was really Brian's idea. He made the pitch to me, and in fact, we've done many webinars on high-speed rail projects, largely in Europe, and recognize that Japan is the world's pioneer in high-speed rail, and we really want to highlight it. So thank you, Brian, for having the initial idea, and glad this is happening today. Masahiro Mark Nakayama is our second speaker. He spent his entire career, 36 years, with Central Japan Railway and its group companies, with senior leadership experience spanning high-speed rail operations, international affairs, transit-oriented development, and hospitality in Tokyo, Yokohama, and Nagoya. From 2015 to 2021, he served as general manager of JR Central's Washington, D.C. office, providing technical support for high-speed rail projects in Texas and the Northeast Corridor. He currently oversees marketing and operations for 9 JR Central-owned hotels located at major Hokkaido Shinkansen stations. I should also mention Mark was a very generous host to me during my trip there. I met him when he was in his role in the Washington, D.C. office, and just been an incredible resource. So thank you very much, Mark. Okay, well, with that, let's get started with a brief slideshow from me. So this is our agenda. So I'm just going to share some more of a slideshow, some initial impressions from Japan, and I will introduce the topic. Brian will then focus more on Japan's systematic approach to speeding up trains, and then Mark will talk more about the Shinkansen and development around the high speed of the bullet train in Japan. Okay, so I've already touched on this. So, Japan, as we know, is the world's pioneer in high-speed rail. And here's a photo of me in front of the first high-speed train at the Maglev Museum in Nagoya. Thank you very much to Mark for organizing that tour. This was my itinerary. I was there for 2 weeks, beginning in late January. I started in Osaka. I flew in there, traveled from there to Kyoto, Nagoya, Hakone, Tokyo, and then I'm a skier, and I've heard quite a bit about how great the snow is. People talk about the Japao, maybe you've heard that term. So I wanted to experience that as well. And then I finished in Sapporo in time for I just caught the winter festival there, which is very famous. Just some quick images. So Osaka, a very breathtaking, dynamic city. Almost like Tokyo, I would say. Kyoto, a mix of old and new there. Nagoya, where Mark is based for his work, and the big hotel complex that he worked on is shown right here, right adjacent to Nagoya Station. From there, went up to Hakone. You can see I was told to go there to have a good view of Mount Fuji. Here I'm riding the gondola, which takes you up there. And then, of course, Tokyo, stayed in that very vibrant neighborhood of Kabukicho. And again, most of this travel by high-speed train traveled from Tokyo north to Niseko. And here's a photo of northern Honshu, the main island in Japan. So you can see the changing landscape. And then all the way up into Niseko, where I was skiing there on the left, and finishing in Sapporo. And it was a record year for snow, so you can see quite a lot of accumulation there on the left. Since initially I did want to go to Japan for the first time and experience it, but I also did want to experience some skiing. But I was told, you might not get to see Mount Fuji, right? Because it's in those months it can be pretty cloudy. But I'm pleased to say that not only did I see it on my approach here, but also top right here from the Shinkansen. And then, as I said, I visited Hakone, which is a sort of a vacation area, largely for residents of Tokyo. And even there on the bottom right, that's my last view of Honshu departing on the plane. So I got to see Mount Fuji quite a bit. So I was able to ski and see Mount Fuji, which is great. Sorry, and of course, I sampled quite a bit of great food. Sorry, there's a bit of a lag here, which is shown in this photo. So anyway, we could do a whole presentation on Japanese food. This includes many really special dishes from a dinner I had with Mark to one of the restaurants that he manages. So when you first go to Japan, an initial impression you might have is just the overwhelming density, the activity, sensory overload, best exemplified probably by the Tokyo neighborhood where I was staying when I was there, called Kabukicho, which is the busiest rail station in the world. Shinjuku is nestled in the heart of this, accommodates over 3.5 million people per day. Also, second busiest station in the world is right beside this famous scramble crossing at Shibuya. Again, just really one of the first impressions of the amazing amount of energy and people And it's not just in Tokyo. Here are photos of Osaka, where you see that similar sort of dynamic. You get this dynamic impression. You see all the lights, the sounds, and I was not. I know a lot of Americans even know the famous discount megastore Don Quixote. I had never heard of it, and I stumbled upon this in Osaka, and I was wondering what are all these people doing here. But anyways, this photo hopefully gives you a sense of that sheer energy, the busyness. And then this really carries over into the transit system. This is Tokyo's transit map. I don't think there is quite as comprehensive a transit map on the entire planet. So, this contributes further to the sense of, busyness of, many people. And I think I'd be remiss if I didn't mention also even this complexity also carries over to, taking care of basic necessities. And I saw on more than one occasion instructions for, Westerners on how to flush the toilet. Another big impression I had is, you see in the hearts of cities these big pieces of infrastructure, whether it's the rail viaduct or highways. So you see that here in the central Tokyo neighborhood, and sometimes nestled right within these denser neighborhoods that are built more incrementally over time. So you see this, this person's balcony literally just a few feet from the highway. But in spite of all that business, I also experienced many examples of calm places to get away from it, including in central Osaka, around their big castle. In Kyoto, of course, famous for all of the pagodas and shrines. This famous park in Tokyo, but it's not just those parks that are little enclaves, but you also see examples like this, which is a bit like Tokyo's High Line, to reference the New York example. So those spaces for relaxation, calm, right up against the dense urban mix right there. So turning to stations specifically, I already mentioned how busy, the busiest station in the world at the top here, Shinjuku, 3.6 million people per day. But Japan really is a rail country, right? The top 23 busiest stations in the world of the top 25 are in Japan. And the busiest in Europe is 24th on that list. So 2/3 of a million people per day. So 5 times fewer people than pass through Shinjuku on a daily basis. So we're talking about a whole different scale of passenger flow. And it's such a busy station like Shinjuku, one that was developed over time. It isn't always easy to find your way around, especially given the numerous operators. This map on the left gives you a sense of that. This photo on the right, I was with Mark actually when I took this photo. This is, I would say, I don't know if you can say it's the main entrance. It's one of the main entrances to the station, located right here. You can see it's more organically integrated into the city. You can see the department store here. There are multiple department stores all around it. Yeah, very, very busy. This is the experience entering the station. Shibuya, I showed the crossing earlier. That's right here. Similar, just thoroughly integrated station into the development around it. And Mark will talk more about that. And then, that's again not just restricted to Tokyo. In Osaka here, you see this, this office building here. It's on top of a very busy station complex, Namba Station, which is 11th busiest in the world if you go back to that graphic that I showed. But anyway, these stations aren't always grand masterpieces in and of themselves, and they can be complicated to navigate sometimes, as I show here. There are, however, newer stations that are more master planned, including Kyoto Station, where it is very easy to navigate. And I also you can see the wayfinding here. It's very, very clear. And often the usability and the navigation for the Shinkansen in particular is very easy and very simple. And I think that's why in Tokyo, the main high-speed station is Tokyo Station, dedicated more to high speed. And this is also a master plan station, as Mark told me, modeled after Amsterdam's main station, which I'm also quite familiar with. And this one also is like Kyoto, much easier to navigate than Shinjuku or Shibuya. And also is largely, like I said, a Shinkansen station. And you can see people like me going through here with their ski on their way to Hokkaido and other places. I'd say one thing. So in spite of how busy it is, how many people there is, and how confusing it might be on some level, it is a place where you can sort of feel your way through. And you do that, in part, mobile apps help with that. But also the integrated fare payment makes it really easy. And so, I just loaded money through Apple Wallet onto my Visa card and was able to get to anywhere I wanted pretty much with that.
Sorry, Eric, can I just hop in? I think if you adjust your microphone a little bit, there's been some muffled. So sorry to interrupt everyone.
I'm sorry. Is it okay now? Or?
Yeah, I think that's a little better.
I'm sorry. Okay. And I'm just about done here, but again, another thing that made it easy to travel. So there's easy payment, but also things like luggage delivery. We arrived in Osaka and were able to very easily and cheaply ship our skis directly to Niseko. As you can see, they arrived at our hotel in this place right beside the ski room, so we didn't need to carry those all around. And you can see we only paid $50 to do that. So I thought that was quite reasonable. So anyway, those are my initial impressions. An incredible experience. I don't think you can fully comprehend it without going there, and I encourage you to go there if you have the opportunity. But I will now turn it over to Brian to talk, as I said, more about how the system operates so efficiently and what decisions were made to make that possible. And then Mark will follow by talking about the development around the station, hotels, tourism, transit-oriented development.
Well, I think like with everyone who's been to Japan, I think that like the thing that really got me thinking is how did they do this, right? Eric, if you don't mind just advancing over to the next slide, I really came to this like question, like how do they do it? How are they able to move so many people so reliably and so efficiently? And I think as we said, we could do so many sessions on this. And so this is really just barely scratching the surface. And maybe if we go to the next slide, just to put it into context for you, at its peak, they're running one high-speed train every 2 minutes between Tokyo and Osaka, right? Like that's at their peak. And on an average day, it's like 254 trains. So like every 3 to 4 minutes, that's higher frequency than most of the subways and metro systems that I've taken in the cities that I've lived in. And like, just to put that into context, if we go to the next slide, in 2024, the average delay was just 96 seconds. And this includes from like typhoons or from other natural disasters. And I think for me, there's this natural question. How do they do it? I only have a couple minutes to share a few thoughts. So if we go to the next slide, I just want to reiterate to you, because this was for me so revelatory. There's no magic involved. I've met with many planners. I've met with many engineers in Japan while living there. And they remind me it's not magic. And it may be hard for us in North America to think about that. It's not magic. But it's just a very, very intentional and continuous focus on speeding up the slow parts of the journey. Because I think in North America, when we're thinking about high-speed rail, we really love this idea of like the top line speed, right? We love the idea of a train that's really, really fast. But if you have a total system that is slow, that's really where you struggle, right? And I'll start, and I'm sorry I know there's somebody here from Paris, and I'm sorry to use Paris as an example of an example where this queuing is really bad. But my wife and I just got back from Paris, and we were standing at Gare de l'Est, and we just saw just these massive throngs of people trying to squeeze through 2 or 3 fare gates to get to their train. And if you compare that with the left, in Tokyo Station, you have quite literally hundreds of different fare gates where people can move into the fare paid system and removing this critical bottleneck. I'm from Toronto. I'm in Toronto right now. And I know there's some folks from Toronto, and they know when you're trying to get onto a Via Rail train, for example, there's just like this really long queue for 10, 15 minutes as you're just trying to board the train. And in Japan, again, the solution isn't magical. We've done this with our metro systems. Just have a bank of fare gates to allow people to move in and to get into the system really easily. If we go to the next slide too, right? If we're able to get people into the system, what's the next thing, right? It's getting them on and off of the platform. When I'm in Toronto, I take the GO train every day. This is not meant to be against what we do here in Toronto, but anyone who's taken the train in Toronto, they know that feeling when you get off the train and you've just got to stand in line to try to get down a very, very narrow staircase. And again, how does Japan solve, the egress and the access problem for platforms? Again, there is no magic involved, right? It's just wide stairs, wide platforms, many points of access and egress, clear signage that lets people get into the system and then get onto the platform and then get off the platform very, very quickly. If you go to the next slide, please, Eric. I dragged my wife to, unfortunately, do some train watching, and we literally stood on the platform for an hour, and you could just see how easy it is for people to just run, to move on and off the platform. It's just this continuous flow of folks going on. And so again, this is barely scratching the surface, but there is no magic involved. But it's really thinking about the full definition of speed, not just of a fast train, but of a fast system. Let's go to the next slide, please, Eric. One thing, when I was younger, I really thought like having double-decker trains was going to solve capacity problems, because really it's like, okay, well, if you're already at capacity, just add more seats, add a second level, and you'll be fine. But what I quickly learned is, your total capacity is not just about your trains, it's about your whole system. In Japan, it's almost all single decker now. It's complete single decker trains for their high speed network. And the reason for that is because it makes it just so much faster for people to get on and off a train. If you just go to the next slide, please. One of the big challenges with the double deckers is that stairs take a long time for people to get on and off, right? Maybe you've done this before. Maybe you're a parent. You've tried to bring your child with your stroller and your suitcase up the stairs. It's not a fun process. Whereas in Japan, it seems boring. It seems simple. It's just one level. But the whole point is that by removing all these points of friction, you're able to actually speed up your system. You're able to operate a lot more reliably, and you're able to get really the maximum amount of capacity. The last slide, just the next one, is showing just how simple the track layout is in Tokyo Station compared to other places in the world. So top left is Tokyo Station. Inside that blue is the Shinkansen between Tokyo and Osaka. If you look at the bottom right, that's Utrecht Station in the Netherlands. And you say, well, more tracks, more switches should give me more capacity, right? More flexibility. But what you buy in flexibility, you give up in terms of capacity. Just the amount of complexity that you're going to get really kills the ability for you to maximize your capacity. And so again, if we just go to the next slide, please. Really, we're scratching the surface. But if you want to make your systems fast, if you want to make your trains fast, make the slow parts faster, and that's a lot better and a lot longer lasting than just trying to make the fast parts even faster. And so for me, the biggest learning is that it's a fast system. Their trains are fast, but the trains in France are faster. but the whole system as a whole is very, very fast. And so we'll move on to Mark, and we'll really dive a little bit deeper into some of the details there about the role of the train in Japan.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Okay, looks like we're half hour past. Should I go faster than Shinkansen trains? No. Okay, so the photo you see here, it's me. In 1990, it was my first job with JR Central. I was a Shinkansen conductor. So it was a heck of a job, but I truly enjoyed working for this company. And now I work for JR Central's hotel divisions. Actually, I'm kind of experts in that area. Also, I enjoyed my stint in Washington, D.C. from 2015 to 21. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so what is Shinkansen? It's the Japanese National Railway. Used to be a government-owned company. It started operations of the first Shinkansen service in 1964, connecting the largest metropolitan areas, which are Tokyo, Nagoya, and Osaka. And this corridor is called Tokaido, where 60% of the nation's entire population live and 65% of GDP is generated. The Tokaido corridor could be compared to the Northeast corridor in the United States. In Japanese language, Shinkansen literally means new trunk line. As the Japanese National Railway kept expanding the network nationwide, this government-owned corporation started losing money due to its inefficiency and labor conflicts. The heavy debt of the National Railroad had accumulated to reach nearly a quarter of Japan's annual national budget. So in 1987, some 40 years ago, Japan Railway, or JR, were established as 6 privatized regional passengers operators. So Shinkansen started 65 years ago, and I would like to summarize its benefits, like travel efficiency, regional development throughout Japan, and its nation's major driving force of economic growth. Next slide, please. Okay, just like Brian mentioned some aspects of our high-speed rail system, I would like to highlight the key features of the Tokaido Shinkansen. Number 1, safety. This is what we're very proud of. 0 fatality accidents since 1964. And it's reliable. 1.5 minutes average delay in 2024. And 383 departures per day on the average. And a set of Shinkansen are all motored 16 cars unit with 1,323 seats. So it's a quite big capacity. And it's fast, the maximum speed of 177 miles per hour. The CO2 emission is only 1/8 of a typical commercial jetliner. So it's very environmentally friendly. And it's very spacious and relaxing. This is economy class photo, and they are with 3x2 configuration, and all these seats rotate to the train's running direction. So once you ride the trains, you enjoy the comforts of very limited vibration. It's very quiet. So that's about Shinkansen. And the next question is, how does TOD get applied to Shinkansen across the big and small cities in Japan? Okay, so this gets me. That's my note. Okay, this shows the fiscal performance of operating revenue for Shinkansen was 11.9 billion US dollars, and we generated net profit of 2.9 billion dollars. And what you see is it's a diverse portfolio. We rely on high-speed rail Shinkansen, and also we operate conventional rail and the non-rail businesses that we work on since its privatization. Non-rail businesses are like real estate, retails, travel-related developments like hotels, restaurants, and travel agencies. Next slide, please. Okay, this graph shows the year 2024 revenue resource mix for 3 different rail operators: JR Central, JR East, and Tokyo Rail Corporation. All these 3 companies are currently publicly traded and listed in major stock markets. JR East is the largest JR company covering the entire Tokyo metropolitan area, which is the most densely populated urban region in Japan. Tokyo is one of the largest private railway group, and with its hub station based in Shibuya, Tokyo. The dependency on high-speed rail is very significant for JR Central, occupying almost 3/4 of the entire revenue, whereas 20% for JR East. Tokyo has no high-speed operations. In contrary, JR East and Tokyo are more non-rail oriented than JR Central. Actually, many private rail operators in Tokyo, and Nagoya and Osaka make more money from non-rail segments. Next slide, please. All right, okay, this is an aerial view of the Nagoya station. This is the hub station for JR Central, and it's showing its surrounding area today. Since the completion of JR Central Towers in 1999, the real estate value surged and more high-rise buildings were built surrounding the station, including Toyota Motor Corporation's International Marketing Division. Every day, over 1 million people use this rail hub, served by various rails, including the Shinkansen, commuter rail lines operated by JR and local railway, and 2 municipal subway lines. There are also huge bus terminals attached to the station complex for highway, coaches, and commuter bus service. A dotted line represents the underground superconducting maglev tracks under construction, which will intersect the current ground platforms. The maglev is due to start commercial operations between Tokyo and Nagoya as early as the year 2035. Okay, next slide. I'll elaborate a little more on our TOD in Nagoya. Okay, the complex was named JR Central Towers and completed in 1999. It is a 50-story high twin towers with a floor space of 4.5 million square feet. which was then listed on the Guinness World Record as the largest station building on this globe. The complex was designed and furbished to meet international premium class standards with a total construction cost of $2 billion, wholly invested by JR Central. Well, there are many TODs in Japan, but this one is very unique because it is a TOD for JR achieving a success in premium target brands of hotels and department store. And the newest development was completed in 2017, which is called the JR Gate Tower, built just next to the Twin Towers. The new tower has a similar mix of functions as the Twin Towers because it is focused more on the mid-market segments, so that all these three towers do not cannibalize each other. Next slide, please. Oh, look at this. It's my beautiful hotel. So the one of the hotels on the left, the towers on the left is my hotel, the Nagoya Marriott Associate Hotel. We opened this hotel in year 2000 as Marriott's number 2000 first property. And we operate this hotel under a franchise agreement with Marriott. It has 748 guest rooms with double executive lounges, and we operate 8 restaurant bars. And this is our flagship of JR Central Hotels. Next slide, please. Okay, so as I said, we operate 7 hotels right now and 2 under construction. So most of them are attached to major Shinkansen stations. So please use our hotels if you have any chance to visit Japan. Next slide, please. Okay, so all these 6 JR companies actually own and operate various kinds of hotels under various brands. Actually, the number of hotels we have under JR Hotel Groups are 130 now. From luxurious property to mid-scale hotels, economy hotels. But we have a very good hotels. Next slide, please. Okay, it shows, yes, the color represents the color of JR owners. And the next slide shows a beautiful Tokyo Station Hotel, which is owned and operated by JR East Company. This is truly a beautiful building. And like Eric said, it's designed after the Netherlands Amsterdam Central Station. Okay. So how is Shinkansen being used to serve growing tourism demand? Okay, so this graph shows the inbound travelers numbers and dollar and yen exchange rate. The amber line represents yen and the US dollar exchange rate changes, and the white column shows the number of Japan inbound travelers from outside. 1995, you can only get 94 yen per $1. And at that time, we only had 3.3 million travelers from overseas. But what happened in these 30 years was that our economy struggled. And maybe you can remember in 2011, our economy was harshly struck by the Great Tohoku earthquake, and that also caused a nuclear crisis. And since then, Japanese trade balance went red. So what happened was our government and our people trying to attract more travelers from other countries, and that really worked, and the number increased to 30.8 million travelers last year. And also what you see is the decline of the Japanese yen value. Now you can get around 150 yen per $1. Next slide, please. So, as I said, Japan is losing our competitiveness in trading. And we started growing tourism as our major revenue resource, and for the country too. The Japanese government is spending more money to attract travelers, tourism in this country, because our country is losing population. We're now in an aging society with the population declining. That means our GDP is not growing as fast as it used to be. We are now the fourth largest economy in the world after the United States and China. And also we are lagging behind Germany right now. And last few years, Japanese yen got weaker. So that was really helped to bring more travelers from overseas. Next slide, please. And JR companies and other private railways in Japan are really trying to generate more revenue from inbound travelers. Like Brian mentions, we're running our Shinkansen trains every 3 to 5 minutes. So as you can see on this departure dashboard, it's a really busy and very accurate operation. And this should attract travelers from overseas. We still sell Japan Rail Pass. It's really affordable to travel in Japan. It's highly recommended. And like Eric explained, prepaid IC card, Suica, is now on the app for everybody's use. It's really convenient, not only for riding trains, but you can purchase goods and dine at any outlets. A lot of signage in the station and also on trains are displayed in English and other languages, very convenient for international travelers. So really working hard to accommodate international visitors. So you are very, very welcome to come see our country and enjoy. Just heard that JR Central raised 10% of the rail revenue from inbound travelers. So it's really important for our business. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark and Brian, can you hear me okay? Uh-oh.
Yep.
You can hear me okay. Okay, good. All right, well, we went a little bit long, but we did get quite a few questions. I want to touch on a few, maybe wrap a few together. Okay, so, there are just a number of questions about the relevance of Japanese operational principles, right, on the U.S., where we do have a situation in the U.S. where we have many, smaller operators, sub-regional, who are working on these, whether it's in California, the California high-speed rail system. Anyway, they're working on projects that extend far beyond their more local boundaries. And so we also have, because of that, a lot of maybe not desire, but there's the impetus is sort of to customize things or figure out things. So Japan's very much the opposite. It's more top down and simplified, as Brian mentioned in his presentation. So maybe to both of you, how do you see the relevance of the Japanese model for the U.S., just given what I just said about the particularities of governance and the local funding and so on in the U.S.?
Maybe I'll just start really quickly. I think, there was a question about the cultural differences, but I think the key thing to draw from Japan is that there isn't a magical infrastructural technological solution that we can just copy and paste into California or Texas or connecting to Vancouver. It's really it's a way of thinking, right? It's a clear sense of what are our priorities, what are our goals, right, and then enabling the different teams that are part of that to be laser focused on that. Like when I was thinking through just very quickly, it was like a fast system is, yes, fast trains, but in order to have fast trains, we need to have trains that can move off the platform quickly. And if you want to do that, you got to get people on and off the platform quickly. So I think it's really just about, I don't want to say just, right? This is challenging, this is hard work, but being clear about what your priorities, what your goals are, and making sure that's part of the way that people are thinking about the solutions that you have. And then working together with the different partner agencies. Can we agree on what fast means? Can we agree on what simple is? And then pursuing that together.
You want to add anything, Mark? Or? You're on mute.
Okay, just like Brian said, it's an accumulation of last like 100 years or so. So we are kind of a harmonized community. So I think everyone had a perception that things has to be connected and work together. Of course, we have smaller lands, and urban areas are highly dependent on public transit. So I think this happened. It is a very natural thing for our people that the balance of our transportation system and also the commercial sectors and the government works really well together.
Yeah.
So should I explain this vertical integration of Japanese rails?
Yeah, I mean, just quickly, maybe a little context there. So I mentioned in my intro slides, in some ways, to somebody who's new, the Japanese system at a more local and regional level can seem pretty complex because of the many operators. But by many accounts, it is what the privatization and the creation of multiple companies is what saved the rail system in Japan after a period of pretty serious financial crisis. So yeah. With that, why don't you say a few words there, Mark, and then maybe add with, what do you think the relevance of that approach is to North America and the U.S.?
Yes, the approach is that the one thing I want to explain is the way we integrate our rail system, and the failure of Japanese national railways. They own everything, operations, land, people. So it was a big entity. It was too big to fail. So that's why we split into smaller regional companies. But the uniqueness of Japanese rail privatizations that we let the rail operators own land infrastructure. We didn't separate infrastructure and land, which is real estate, from the operations. And as a private company, you were able to focus more on money-making businesses. So that's why TOD are much more important for urban areas where you have lots of people coming in and out. So how you can build a big commercial structures inside and over the station, it really makes sense to generate more revenue. And you bring those, people riding your trains and spend money on your purchase everyday goods or dining or staying in hotels. It's really convenient for people to travel around this country. And this model, we apply this to international travelers. It really makes sense. You spend more money than our people.
Well, that's good. There's so much. It seems like we need to do another webinar to address all of these questions, and we may well do that. There does seem to be a virtuous cycle in Japan, though, where there's the density to support the high ridership, and then because of that, there's also confidence in the ongoing flows of people, which means revenue. And we faced uncertainty in the U.S. where we asked, are people really going to ride this? And then maybe we don't invest in the foundations around stations to support dense development. And then we have more of a vicious cycle in some cases where we're not setting ourselves up in future decades to have the highest ridership we might want. But anyway, that's probably a topic for another webinar. And I just also wanted to mention, there's a question here about Suica and how well it works. And I have to say, my experience it was just very much more flawless. The scanning technology worked better. And then as Brian mentioned, there's a real focus on the pinch points and making sure they don't slow down the overall journey. So I think the attention to that those are things we can certainly focus on, no matter the differences in political or economic context. All right. Well, I think that's all we have time for today. I wanted to thank all of our speakers, as well as the Deputy Council for joining us. Wanted to say high-speed rail is no longer part of the future of mobility, but part of the present. And we're hosting these conversations to ensure the knowledge that we gain here, it benefits the projects we work on. If you'd like to learn more about San Jose State University's graduate certificate in high-speed rail and intercity management, there is a link to that program in the chat. And like I said, we will continue to put on these webinars. So stay tuned for that, as well as for other opportunities to learn more about high-speed rail internationally, including study abroad programs in the future. So thank you very much for joining. Hillary, was there anything else you wanted to say before we leave, or?
Just thank you and all of our speakers, and especially the Consulate General of Japan in San Francisco. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, everyone.